The Tidradio H8 GMRS HT offers users a variety of ways to program the radio to meet various users' needs. Stick around to take a look. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of gadgets that catch my eye. If you find this video helpful, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. I really appreciate it. This video is essentially part 2 to my review of the Tidradio H8 GMRS HT. The H8 offers several ways to program the radio. Besides entering menu items on the radio's faceplate, you can use the built-in Bluetooth programming via the ODMaster smartphone app. You can make changes and adjustments to your programming files or code plugs using the ODMaster website. There's the manufacturer's provided customer programming software, and the H8 is Chirp supported. That can all be a bit overwhelming for new operators. So, with that in mind, let's go through these programming processes in more detail than we did in the H8 GMRS radio review video. Let's start with a short clip about the radio's menu system. We'll follow up with programming using the ODMaster app and how the ODMaster website interacts with the app. Next, we'll take a look at the manufacturer's CPS, and last, we'll look at Chirp. So with all these little radios, the menu system works the same. You press menu, goes to menu. If you press 1, you go to menu item number 1, or you can just cycle through the menus. There's 0, it's on squelch 3. This one has a menu item 42 that shows you the version and the firmware. So in this case, it's 22.10.26. So it's October 26, 22. When you look at the link to the software that I'll show you here later in the review, you'll see that there's a newer version of the firmware, but I'm showing you this radio as it comes out of the box. You can decide whether you want to make the firmware update or not. So here we are in menu. So working our way down, we've got version, squelch tail elimination, some DTMF codes. There's that sync display that I was just talking with you about. I can reset. I can turn on receive frequency hopping, which has to do with randomly changing the CTCSS codes. It's not what you think. I've got the language as English, and so it's got all of the things that you're used to seeing. So we'll go to menu 1, and we'll just kind of exit our tour of the menu at this point. Now, let's take a look at the ODMaster app and web page. So here we have the display for the ODMaster app. I've logged in already, and so this is what I've gotten. So when I click up here in the pair device, I'm going to see that I've got the Tidradio kit, which is what it comes up is for this GMRS radio, and I've turned that on using this slide switch. So when I come down here, I need to pick a model, so I'm going to pick the Tidradio right here. And then I'm going to use the GMRS. And then I'm going to read from the radio. It's counting up on the radio screen, and it's counting up here on the progress indicator on the screen. With the data read complete, the radio reboot, and I can now see what I have in the radio. And we'll go through these here briefly, but I would recommend that the first time you use this with your radio, that you save it right away. Give it a name, save it someplace here within the app that I'll show you here in just a minute, so you will have a baseline. So I'm on channel 1, it's 462 56250. This is the transmit frequency since it's simplex. The encode and decode are right here for CTCSS codes. Normally you're not going to have those on those basic GMRS frequencies. And unless you want to add privacy codes for a group that you're with, you can pick the power, wide, narrow, busy lock, add, scan, all of that stuff is there. And the name is GMRS number 1. And so all of the channels 1 through 30 are going to be just like this. Now, there are a couple of other things that you may want to do that are kind of cool, so let's work through those. First, we're going to look at our functions, and here are the various function menus that you can access via the radio's faceplate. Here it's just easier because it's bigger. So I want to change the squelch. I can change the squelch. 3 is good for me. In FM, I can go in and add local FM stations just by typing the frequency in there. I don't mess with DTMF codes. I'm going to leave that blank. I've got English as my prompt. The light turns off on the screen after 15 seconds. And all of the rest of these things are available. Here's where I can program what I want my function keys on the side of the radio to do, long press and short press. And then I can finish up here with, you know, the Bluetooth is on, the receiver tone, which really doesn't apply here in the United States. I've got sync on, and the repeater squelch tail elimination. So all those things are on. Now let's go back to channels. Now if I want to program a do-it-yourself repeater channel, they start on channel 31. So let's just make one up. You could get this information from mygmrs.com for one of the repeaters in your area. So here is channel 31. If we wanted a frequency, we could drop down here on the transmit side, and we want this drop down box to go into the 467 because that's where our repeater frequencies are. So let's pick one. 467, 6500 is one. Here's 467, 750. So let's pick that one. We're going to go 462, 67500. So we've got 462, 67500, 467, 67500. That's what we want. We don't want frequency hopping. All of the other things that are on the channel are exactly the same as we just looked at. But here we can add a name to it. You can see that I've been playing around a little bit, and I gave it a name of test repeater, so test RP. So we've got that. So we can get rid of the keyboard here, and we can then go back to one of our other channels. Now in this case, I want to go up to channel 55. I'll go up to channel 56. And 56 doesn't have anything in it, but if I wanted to program a ham repeater just to listen on, I can use this repeater list. And so I'm going to go into my repeater list. Nearby is a repeater on Honor Health Hospital, and so I'm going to use that one. I'm going to import it to channel 56. And I'm going to import. And now, when I go to channel 56, you can see the repeater frequency is there. The transmit frequency is blank. The CTCSS code is there, and the call sign of that repeater is there. And if I wanted to make a change to that call sign to something that I could more easily remember, I could double click it, come up and highlight it, and I could call it, for example, Honor Health space Deer Valley. Get rid of my keyboard. And so now I have Honor Health Deer Valley for that channel. And now that's part of this particular code plug that I have. So if I wanted to save it, I could give it a name. I'm going to call it 202306 28 TEST. And I'm going to confirm that. The save was successful. I'm going to verify the Bluetooth is still on my radio, and I'm going to write. Program is moving across the screen. Progress bar is moving across the display. And now I've completed writing my changed code plug, and I'm good to go. Now, if I click on the receive and transmit list, you can see here, there's the file that I just created, and so I'm good to go. So that's all there is on the ODMaster app. So here's the display on the ODMaster.net. I've signed in, and it's come up with the various files that I have. As I've mentioned before, I used this during the test process, so I have a number of files. But what's important is that the ODMaster app file that we created just seconds ago is right here. It shows up right here, and so I can access it, and I can do that either by hitting update, or I can hit edit over here. So I'm going to go and click it, and I'm going to update it. It's going to load. And it's finished loading. And so here it gives me a full-size view of all the channels that I have here in my H8. And so all the channel information is here. You can see these have some locks on them. These are some of the do-it-yourself channels. That's why they have these drop-down boxes. So if we were to go into channel 31, you can see that here's the one that we programmed, and it worked the same way. So we could do that up here as well. Plus we can add our CTCSS codes or DCS codes again, just by scrolling through and using a drop-down box. So here is that channel 31 that we just added. And if we scroll down, here is channel 56 that we just added. That was the Honor Health Deer Valley. I tried that once before. I put that on channel 55, so that's there. And if I wanted to get rid of it, I could just highlight this, click delete, and then when I click out of that, some of the other things associated with channel 55 here can also be deleted. So I can, turn off this, delete the name, just kind of clear out all of that stuff that was in there for that channel. And so now 56 is active, 55 is not. So this is really pretty easy to use. It's all just drop down channels. And then when you get to the bottom of the list, here's where your weather channels are. And so when you access those, channels 1 through 11 are here at the bottom, and you can see that pretty easily in this display. We can also go into our optional features. Here we set the squelch level. Remember, I set that to 3. That transferred over. My light controls at 15 seconds. All of those various aspects are here. And then there's one additional one that is in this display that was not in the app, and that's the mic gain setting. And I'm not fully sure whether that is active in the GMRS yet, but it's certainly active here. And so mid-range is like 14. It goes anywhere from 1 to 32. So I've got it set to 20 to increase the mic gain, although that's not something you're going to necessarily see on that ODMaster app, and there's not a menu item yet. I'm told that they're working to put that menu item in the firmware itself, but that's a way for you to add volume to your microphone. Again, we have frequency band modes here. We can go into the FM and type our FM stations just like we did. And then, of course, we have all of our channel information. So if we're happy with that, we can save it. I'm going to keep the name the same. I didn't make any changes other than deleting that channel. So I'm going to click Save. The save was successful. And now when I access that test code plug from my ODMaster app, that channel 55 is going to be gone. So that's a real handy way to keep a lot of your things stored here online in the cloud with the ODMaster account, and then you can access it via your phone. Of course, you can use the ODMaster app without creating an account. The manufacturer's customer programming software, or CPS, is quite functional. Let's take a look. So here is the Tidradio GMRS H8 CPS, and we're going to be talking to our radio through a programming cable that I have plugged in. I'm going to go up here to the comms, and I'm going to set COM 9. I looked in the device manager and saw that this cable comes up as COM 9, so that's what I'm going to use. And then I'm going to read from the radio to get the program. You can see it's reading. It's done. I'm going to close this window. And so now the information that we've been looking at throughout this video demo is here in this display. We go down to 55 and 56. We can see where I've put in a couple of versions of that Honor Health repeater. You can see it's Honor Health Deer Valley, and all that information is there. These all work with drop down, and here in the names, you just highlight it, it comes up, and then you can give it a name. Now, the other thing I can do is I can go up here to edit, and I can edit my channel information, which is the display that's active now, but then I can also edit my menu items, and here is all that displayed. So I've got my squelch, the light controls, continuous, voice prompt is on, my main displays I've set for name, everything that we've talked about already. And then over here we've got that mic gain option again that is available here in the H8 GMRS CPS from Tidradio. So we've got the rest of this information. You can program your short keys on top, PF1, PF2. So on the top key, I've got a long press for the alarm. You have a choice in the radio to choose whether it's local or broadcast. Always set that to local so you're not transmitting an alarm. But here you can see it's got alarm and the other choices that you can have, some of which I've used in these other button press options. So we've got all that done. We'll click OK. We go back into edit. You can make the changes to your frequency ranges in channel A and channel B that we've pointed out before. And then the same thing with typing in your FM channels here. Just a matter of clicking in there and typing it in. The DTMF controls, generally, again, I don't mess with those, but they are accessible through the CPS. Now, when I'm done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save. With that done, then I'm going to write it back to the radio. So I press write. I don't have a password set. The screen on the radio just flashed. The write is finished. OK, and closed. And this is all there is to using the CPS from Tidradio. Let's wrap this up by taking a look at Chirp. Chirp's big advantage is being able to import frequencies from predefined data sources as well as query outside sources such as repeaterbook.com for repeater information from the area that you specify. This is more of a ham function, but can also be handy for importing receive-only channels into your GMRS radio. To get started, we've got Chirp open. I'm going to go to radio. I want to download from the radio. It's going to ask me my COM port, and I looked this up previously for this particular programming cable, and it's COM 9. I want a Tidradio H8 GMRS. And when I've got that, then I'm just going to click OK. It tells me to turn the radio off, connect the cable, do all of this good stuff. So since my radio's off, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to set the volume fairly high, get rid of this, and you can see now that it's cloning. And here's my radio. So you can see here's all the channels that I have. Here are all my GMRS channels. None of them have tones. Here's my various repeater channels, and then 31 through 54 are my do-it-yourself. Here's that test repeater that we programmed using the ODMaster app, and so you can see it's got a name, test, it uses a tone, and then It's 67, which is what we used. It's got a positive 5 megahertz. And the S here means it's not in the scan list. It's a skip for scan list. And then I've got mid power here as listed. And so that's how we've done that. If we go down to 54, here are those two things that we did before. They're both the same. This is the repeater, and we've got 145.3. We've got a positive here, and then again, this is just like this huge offset. It's not something that we're going to use, so they don't match, and so I'm not going to be too worried about that, but it's not going to be in the scan list. I've got the codes, I've got the tone, I've got the name transferred over, and I set 145.300. So if I wanted to here, by adding zeros, then I can get rid of that. So I don't have an offset, because these are just going to be treated as a simplex frequency, or actually a receive-only frequency in these channel ranges from 55. And then we go to the bottom, we can get to our NOOA channels again, and you can see that here again, Chirp has just offset this huge offset number right here. And then also with Chirp, we can go in and change our various menu items. They're all listed here, making the changes available. The AB channel information is here. FM, we can type our FM channels in there. And so the settings are the same. Note here that in basic settings, you don't have a mic gain. And so that has not been implemented in Chirp yet. So let's go back down here to channel 60. If we go to radio, one of the things that's really cool about Chirp is that we can go into source, and we could go into, for example, repeater book, and you could tell it what you wanted. You can say, oh, I want repeaters in Arizona, and then search, and then it'll give you all of these repeaters. Now this doesn't do us any good because they're not GMRS repeaters, but we could use this to program some of our ham repeaters if that is what it was we wanted to try to do. So that's a quick overview of Chirp. Chirp is fairly complicated. It is used with lots of different radios, and so I would encourage you to look at a Chirp tutorial if you want to get more information. But here's the snapshot view of Chirp with the H8 GMRS. So there you have it. Depending on your individual preferences, the H8 can be programmed several ways. Personally, I like the ODMaster app. I can have several code plugs on my phone that I can use for different areas, and I can reset the radio to a known state quickly and easily if I've messed something up when using the radio's faceplate menu system. Join me over here if you need to learn a bit more about programming GMRS repeaters. Thanks for watching and subscribing to the Gadget Talk channel. Until next time.